Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. Happy Friday. Hope everyone had a fantastic trading week and a good trading session. Starting things off, we are looking at the SPY daily chart. We can see that the bulls had a pretty good session today. The bears, caught sleeping, if you ask me. Gap up to start things off, and then we just pretty much ran from there. We can see that the SPY came right up to the daily 50 here, and that's where we kind of stalled out. So it will be kind of interesting to see if we get any kind of follow through. There is a gap to fill up here at about that 595 mark, so that's where I'm going to be looking to see if we get a continuation. But now that we got, it's an interesting spot because we got this gap up to deal with right at the moving averages here where the 21 and 50 meet. But now we also got a gap situation that we will eventually need to take care of down below. Not to mention we have this gap, which is initially where I am still targeting. Now I do have puts on the table to take this gap into play, which I grabbed yesterday, and yes, I am in major pain there and pretty much at a loss, so full loss to be exact. So we're going to let those continue to cook, and I went in with the idea that if we do get a bounce back, I'm okay with that happening. So we'll see what happens in the next week, because it does expire next weekend. If it expires worthless, that's okay. It is what it is, but the play is still technically intact because we haven't really broken above these key moving averages, and that's kind of what I'm paying attention to there. So but yeah, as it sits, no change on the SPY daily. We are still in a neutral position here on the daily time frame. Even with the bullish day that we had today, it had no effect on the overall score and position. There is no squeeze. MACD is still in the red, and we still have weak thrust. So no change overall. Let's zip down to the hourly to kind of check in on the smaller time frames. Now we do have an upgrade here on the SPY hourly. We are now in a neutral positioning. Yesterday we were in a strong bear with a low compression squeeze, and as you can see, this low compression squeeze is starting to curl to the upside, but we've kind of bonked our head here at the hourly 50 simple moving average there, so that's something to kind of keep an eye on. If we want to continue to push, then maybe we'll come and check in on the hourly 200 next. So that's going to be right there at around the 599 600 zone is what we'll be paying attention to. Let's scoot on down to the 30-minute time frame here. 30-minute time frame, also a pretty substantial upgrade as far as the structure goes. We are now in a neutral bull territory as opposed to yesterday where we were at a max bear with a low compression squeeze. Now we can see that low compression squeeze did trigger, but it triggered to the upside, which was a little bit slightly counter trend, which was essentially against my original thesis that we were going to fire this squeeze to the downside. Instead, we've kind of had quite the opposite with now strong thrust. So that is definitely worrisome, but like I said, we'll see what happens in these next few days if we come back down. If it even if it comes up to this 30-minute 200 up here and reject and come down, it's going to need to do so quickly. But all that is pretty much speculative at this time frame. But as it sits right now, definitely a point for the bulls as we've moved from max bear to neutral bull with a score of 22 and back above the trailing ATR, but we're still just kind of stuck in between this 50 and 200 simple moving average. Now usually when you get a breakout of the key moving averages, you do like to check in with mom. Essentially, you went to go out and party, now you're at the party and you got to go, it's time to check in with the folks and say, what's up, and check in, and then you can go up there and check out the daily 200. So, the hourly 200. So we'll see what happens there. All right, enough time on the SPY. One of the key things today definitely was the VIX here. Sorry, jumping stories here. We can see the VIX, a little bit of a sloppy start here for the VIX, and then we just came all the way down. Brutal day for the VIX in general. So down about 9%, I believe, on the day. Yeah, tough stuff there for the VIX. But the advanced decline issues was really nice to see today. We did get a big flush to start things out, only to move higher throughout the session. So it was a very nice trendy afternoon. So cool stuff there. All right, back to the main charts here. Let's go over to the Qs. We can see here on the daily, we are still in a neutral positioning. No change there on the daily. The bulls did do a pretty good job at defending the daily 21 EMA. The 50 simple moving average. The 21 is this blue line here. And now we're just kind of wedged in between it. We are still in a low compression squeeze. Last time we were in a squeeze was back here. That squeeze fired, ran its course up to about 539, and now it's just time to enter into a new compression, and we'll see what's in store later on. Let's move down to the hourly. It's probably going to be the same story here for the Qs. Actually, here for the Q hourly, we went from a mid-bear yesterday to a neutral score here on the hourly. We did come out of a low compression squeeze as that is starting to trigger to the upside, but we're just kind of bonking our head at some of these key moving averages. So if we get above 518.50, that could very well open the door to take on about 525 and then fill this gap to about 527, give or take. So looking pretty decent here. It's not the best looking structure, but it's something. Let's move down to the 30-minute chart here. Let's see, neutral bull now. We were at a max, at a strong bear, so a pretty sizable upgrade here for the bulls on the 30-minute, alongside with the SPY. Low compression squeeze fire to the upside. We are coming up to this where the green line meets the red line on the oscillator. This can act as resistance, so I will have to see if this, rejects and we move back down. But this is in a no trend situation, which is why you get the neutral part, but you're above some of these key moving averages, so you get a decent score of 24 out of the books. So something to keep an eye on. We still got plenty of work to do, but bulls definitely came back with a little bit of a vengeance here today. We'll see if they can capture some follow through today. Now, I will say one of the bigger stories today was definitely the semiconductors, and this one has my attention, no doubt about that, especially since I'm still swinging TSM debit spreads. But as you can see, we are in this neutral positioning with a very nice squeeze right here, mid compression, and we are holding this daily 200 simple moving average. It has been holding the daily 200 simple average for well over a year now. Every time that we've come to it, we get a nice aggressive bounce back, and this time you can see we're right at it with a daily squeeze. So this is almost a little bit of a do or die situation here for the overall semiconductor sector. So that is definitely something that I am paying attention to moving forward. NVIDIA was a nice little play for us during the overnight swing. Yesterday I kind of got caught with my pants down, but today, and then I got back into calls at the close, and it paid very tremendously today. I didn't catch the entire move, but I caught the majority of it, and that's, I'm very happy about that. Made my Friday well worth it. So definitely something, to keep an eye on, especially with the semiconductors popping back. We're in a neutral position here on the daily. We're still in a low compression squeeze here. And yeah, this thing could set up and we could fire up. And I know there's some decent other semiconductor names out there, such as Broadcom. And like I said, we're in debit spreads on the TSM, and we are trying to move out of this daily squeeze here. As you can see, we're going from red dots to gray dots. That means the mid compression squeeze is moving into a low compression squeeze. So we're starting to see a little bit of expansion out of those Keltner channels and Bollinger Bands. We got a nice thrust there on the oscillator as well as the thrust signals. So we got strong thrust, bull trend, and MACD, max bull, max score. This is everything that we want to see out of the TSM situation. So, looking forward to this one to finally playing out, because those debit spreads expire on the 17th. So moving forward to, next week, we got ourselves a busy week ahead of ourselves. We got a bunch of economic data here coming up. We got pretty much jobs data. We got the JOLTS, we got ISM, we got ADP, unemployment claims, challenger job cuts, the 30-year bond auction, non-farm employment, and the unemployment rate. So it's going to be a very, very data-dependent week. Could get some volatility. So mind your P's and Q's going into the following week. Other than that, pretty solid week across the board. SPY still has some work to do to recover, especially off these key moving averages. And moving back ahead, Qs also had the same thing. IWM, of course, we haven't really paid too much attention to it because small caps aren't really my thing. But a good day in itself. It's in a neutral position here on the daily, still trading above the 200. Definitely the weaker of the brunch. So if we start to lose that daily 200, definitely pay attention to that. But all right, that's going to be it for this video. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you all on Sunday for Sunday night prep. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.